today. And today we have an amazing, amazing guest with us. Just cannot not say enough about this wonderful woman. We have Jacqueline Loretta with us today. I'm so excited to talk with her. We're going to be speaking on the subject of autism. You know, autism is also called autism spectrum disorder. It impairs the communication and social interaction of children. It seems like it impacts the nervous system, and more than 200,000 cases a year are diagnosed, and it can't be cured. But the great thing is it can be treated, and it can last sometimes for a little bit or sometimes an entire lifetime. And so we've got an amazing guest, Jacqueline Loretta. She's from the Real Housewives of New Jersey. She's my guest today, and we welcome you, Jacqueline.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, you have made one.
I wish I was there with you in your closet. I want to be in your closet.
Yeah. As our listeners understand, we do this podcast from my amazing, 3,000 square foot closet, and I do wish you were here with me. It would be so much fun.
I'll be over in just a little bit.
I have the champagne chilling as we speak. So, Jacqueline, when did you first realize something was wrong with your son?
Well, it was kind of a gradual decline of his developmental milestones, somewhere between 18 and a half months to 2.5 years old. It was very gradual, but there were things like loss of eye contact, loss of language. He stopped singing. He stopped using utensils. He stopped riding his tricycle. He stopped answering to his name. He couldn't follow a one-step simple command. He couldn't follow my finger. If I pointed to an object, he wouldn't point himself. He would line up his toys. He was having some diarrhea. He was having trouble going to bed. Sometimes he would spin in circles or throw himself on the couch. He was having these kind of quirky behaviors that were sort of happening over time. It was pretty scary.
So basically those were the first symptoms you noticed. And I mean, like, did it freak you out? I mean, like, were you?
Yeah. I kind of recognized it before my husband. He wasn't as quick to come to terms with it.
Right.
But I knew, something was going on with him. And I just didn't know exactly what it was. I just noticed these
Hey, Maz, I think we have a problem. I don't have.
Jacqueline's off.
Yep.
Oh,
Jacqueline?
oops, yeah,
Oh.
somebody was ringing in. I guess that stops it.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Jacqueline, we need
Yeah.
to make sure that when people ring that you don't, because as soon as they ring, you get cut off.
Okay.
What can we do?
And you can't do a landline?
The second I do it, I'll cut. I could do a landline.
Can you do it on your laptop? Is there a way to do that or no?
I wouldn't know how to.
No, she can't do a landline because.
You know what? I'll just pause and like hit decline really quick, and then I'll just pick up from there.
What if you're in the middle of your talk? Hey, try this.
Hopefully, no one will call me.
Can you go on your phone in the settings and just press airplane mode and then see if we can still hear you?
I don't know if that would work, but okay, I'll try.
Let's try it, and if not, just come back. Go in settings and then turn on airplane mode.
Can you still talk on a phone when it's in airplane mode?
Yes, because she's on Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yep, on airplane mode, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, on airplane mode, you couldn't hear us?
No. Mm-mm.
That is so strange.
Let's see. Let me see if on my phone, if there's a...
Yes, that's what I was going to tell you.
Calls another... let's see. Is there a way to block? Caller blocking. Let's see.
No. Let me tell you. Open settings, choose phone, tap call forwarding. Okay, let's just do call forwarding, okay? Phone.
Wi-Fi calling? I know.
Phone, there we go.
Should we just try?
Wi-Fi calling. Respond with text, call forwarding, call waiting. Okay. Call forwarding. Yeah, Jacqueline?
Yeah.
Okay, go to settings, scroll down, go to phone.
Settings, go to phone. Okay.
And then you'll see call forwarding down there.
I don't see that.
Okay, so when you go to settings.
Yeah, I'm in phone.
You scroll down, you see phone.
Yeah.
You click
my number, announce calls.
Okay, come down.
Blocking, Wi-Fi calling, calls on other devices, respond with text, change voicemail password, dial assist, SIM.
Oh, you don't have call forwarding.
No.
Can she use someone else's phone for the podcast?
Do you have another phone, Jacqueline?
Then we got to set up the whole thing on it again.
Okay, so Jacqueline, just
I'll be quick to decline.
Okay. Because as soon as that happens, when you speak, it gets cut off.
Okay.
Okay, so unfortunately, we have to start the whole thing over again. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's the whole problem because it's done live. So when you don't do it, when that happens in the middle of your talks, we cannot edit that whole segment.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So please make sure that no calls come in.
Oh my God.
Are you on silent? Is your phone on silent?
Yeah, you won't hear it, but it's still gonna.
Right. So hopefully if she's got the phone setting down somewhere, as soon as she sees it, she just hits the decline button. Hopefully that'll just stop it.
It'll just sound like I paused for a second.
Yeah, but if you're in the middle of a sentence, we don't get to hear the rest of the sentence.
Then should I just repeat the sentence? Saying we can make a joke that I'm getting called. No, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Just keep an eye on the phone, please. Okay, let's do this again. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to Conversations in the Closet. I am your host, Teresa Romer, and today we have an amazing special guest. I'm so excited to have this guest with us. Her name is Jacqueline Loretta. She is from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and we're going to be talking about a subject that is very close and dear to her heart because her son was diagnosed with this. We're going to be talking about autism. It's also called autism spectrum disorder. It impairs the communication and social interaction of children. It impacts the nervous system, and more than 200,000 cases a year are diagnosed in our country. You know, it can't be cured, but it can be treated, and sometimes it can last for a little bit. Sometimes it will last a lifetime. So today we want everyone to welcome Jacqueline Loretta to our show. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Oh, it's great having you. I wish you were actually here with me in my closet. We could be popping the champagne and doing this together.
Oh my gosh. I'm coming. As we're talking, I'm walking.
Jump on that airplane. So, Jacqueline, when did you first realize something was wrong with your son? Like, what were the first symptoms that you noticed?
All right, so it was a very gradual decline in his developmental milestones, somewhere between 18 and a half months and 2.5 years. There were signs like loss of eye contact. He lost some language. He stopped singing his favorite songs. He stopped using utensils. He stopped riding his tricycle. He stopped answering to his name. He couldn't follow a simple one-step demand, a command.
Right.
He wouldn't follow my finger if I pointed to an object. He couldn't point himself. He lined up his toys. He just had some quirky behaviors that we weren't really understanding. We didn't know if he was bored with certain activities and moved on to something else. And
right.
Why was he stopping these things? So it was very hard to, when I couldn't put a finger on what it was. I just noticed things happening and I just felt that something was going on. My husband was still a little bit in denial in the beginning, and he used to get upset if I would mention certain things that I noticed. He didn't want to see it at the time. So,
right. Didn't that just
difficult.
scare didn't that just scare the
Yeah.
bejesus out of you? I mean, like not
Yes.
knowing what's wrong with your child, you know?
Yes. A part of you is like, is this going to pass? Is this just a phase?
Right.
I couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew something was up. So, I did tell my pediatrician about it as soon as I was noticing things. And what a lot of people need to understand is your pediatrician, they see your child for maybe 15 minutes every
Right.
appointment, and maybe every few months. So it's really up to you as a parent to stay on top of that developmental milestone checklist and report any and all concerns to your pediatrician if you see something that your child, and that's just a guideline, that checklist. But you really got to stay in touch with your pediatrician about it.
Right. And I laugh about this because so many of us immediately go to the internet and we do the WebMD thing, I mean,
yes, you Google and you're like, oh my God.
I know my husband is so famous for doing that. So I'm assuming you might have started to do that before you actually took him to the doctor for it. No?
Yes. Well, I had voiced my concerns to the pediatrician, and she had referred me to a developmental pediatrician, one who could really evaluate him to see what was going on. But the wait to get in for the evaluation was 3 months.
Oh, Lord.
And what had happened was, it's a long wait. So a family friend of mine actually suggested that my son may have autism because he had a child on the spectrum. And what he had done is he sent me to the Autism Speaks website to check for the signs and symptoms of autism, and also the MCHATs, which is the modified checklist for autism in toddlers. It's about 23 or so questions that let you know if they ask you questions about your child, and it kind of lets you know if there's further need for concern.
Right.
So that is when we actually sat down and looked at the signs and symptoms of autism, and we did the checklist. That's when I believed 100% this is what my son had, even before he was diagnosed. And that's also, I believe, when my husband came to terms that there was need for concern.
Right. So how did they finally diagnose him?
Well, it took 3 months. And in the meantime, since we didn't, everything I was reading was don't waste valuable time, get on it right away. Early detection is key to recovery and all this. So we had reached out within the autism community for help and guidance. And we connected with a nonprofit organization called Generation Rescue. And then a week later, we were sitting down with the executive director, which is Candace McDonald, and their president, which is Jenny McCarthy. I knew she had a child on the spectrum. I had read some of her books and things.
Right.
So I knew of her.
Right.
And they referred us immediately to a biomedical doctor in California. And that we started, testing, his hair, his urine, his blood, his
everything.
Poop, everything.
Right.
Just
right.
To kind of see where he was and get him started on a gluten-free, casein-free diet and things like that before he was even diagnosed. When we went in, I was kind of hoping that they wouldn't diagnose him, but then at the same time, when you have the diagnosis, you also for your child too with the therapies and things like that. So no parent likes to hear that diagnosis. It was really hard. It was a very, my husband and I, that day, I just remember we just both went home just numb and just cried. And it was really emotional.
Really hard.
Time,
right.
But, you know what? It made me want to get to work and help them.
Right. Because it is your child and you just want to help your child through whatever it is. Yeah. But so which type did they diagnose him with?
Well, at the time when my son was diagnosed, they were just doing away with all the different forms of autism, the Asperger's and all those. They put everything under one umbrella. And so they only diagnosed him as autism. But if I were to guess, people ask me, is he mild? Is he moderate? Is he severe? If I had to say for myself, I would say it was pretty moderate. He had no language, he just was sort of in his own little world.
Right.
Here, and I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say he was Asperger, but I would say it was like a moderate form of autism.
Right. So does he have any special needs or requirements on a daily basis, or does he seem pretty normal? Jacqueline?
Well, he's on a specialized diet,
Right.
gluten-free,
Right.
casein-free, a lot of supplements, but I wouldn't say special requirements. I mean, he's not completely independent. He still needs help, going to the bathroom, and he's getting dressed pretty good on his own now. He's brushing his own teeth now. He's come a long way. He's doing a lot of things on his own now, but he needs, constant supervision. Lately, he's been trying to escape the house, um, go on nature walks himself, but it's pretty scary. But but other than that, he's moves
Right.
around and
Right.
does
Right.
his thing.
So, I have a girlfriend that has an autism child, and he does require a special school. He does have to go to a special school. Does your son have to go to any special schools, or does he get to attend regular schools?
Well, when we were first looking into that, we checked out the private schools, the specialized schools, and then we also looked at the programs in a typical elementary school. And my son, he goes to a typical elementary school. He has an IEP, and he's in a specialized classroom where, each child is paired with a teacher or teacher aide, and he goes through all the ABA and speech and language and OT, PT, cooking class. Like, he has, life skills. He does all of that in the program. They have a great program at his school. And he also gets a lot of private therapies at home after school as well.
Right.
But when we originally researched the private schools to send him to, the diagnosis was all to us. And even though they had these fabulous reputations, those private schools that we toured, the thought of putting him in there at the time, it was so structured and a little clinical looking in it. I think it was just too much for us at the time. So the thought behind us putting in a typical school was to be able to integrate him with typical kids that he could model after and socialize with. And of course, our ultimate goal then and now was to eventually be able to mainstream him. And
Right.
that hasn't happened yet. It
Right.
hasn't happened yet, but he is moving up from the first grade to the second grade this year, which is great. And then there was a time we thought about putting him in a private school, pulling him out and putting him in there. The district denied placement for us. They said he's getting everything he needs where he is now.
Right.
So it would have to come out of pocket to do the private school at this point. So it's
Right.
something we throw around sometimes, but
Sure.
he seems to be doing pretty good where he is. So,
So do you have a strong support system, like a lot of help from your family, or do you feel like you're having to do it all on your own?
well, I mean, my immediate family is a strong support system, within our home for sure. I have my daughter and her fiance and my husband and my son. Like, everybody kind of works really well as a team, and we sort of defined our roles and responsibilities in the very beginning, so there would be no confusion. And he just gets a lot of love and support here in our home. Extended family we don't see as often. I have family that lives in Nevada. They're here visiting right now, actually, and they're amazing with him when they're here and everything. And we don't really see a lot of, the day to day is just our immediate family here in our home.
Right.
And yes, he gets a lot of love and support here.
Well, how has this really affected your family? Sometimes when things like this happen, it tears families apart, or sometimes it brings families closer together. I know
Yeah.
I know when I've had some horrific things happen in my life, it's torn my family apart and stuff. So, it's would be lovely to hear whether or not, it's put a strain on your, family, or did it really bring everybody closer together?
I feel it brought everybody closer together. We work really well as a team. Like I said, we defined our roles and responsibilities from the beginning, which I think is important, because then
Right.
you don't have that blame game. Like, well, I was doing morning supplements, you can do evening supplements, or you don't resent the other person for, you kind of like, your job is to,
Right.
Everybody sort of has their role from the beginning. And, like my husband and I, we do a lot of things together. We go out in the autism community together. We do speeches, we travel, we go to conferences. We kind of have that common goal of, I think part of it is acceptance, the man and the woman, mother and father have to accept what's going on,
Right.
and then have that common goal of wanting to bring out the best child your child can be. So you work as a team. You know, I'll do this, you do that, I'll research, you contact this person. And when you're both on the same page, it makes it good. But in the very beginning, when I came to terms with it, my husband it didn't work well,
Right.
because, you know, he would get upset if I would say, well, look, he's not doing this or that. And then, you know, he wasn't ready to accept it. But once he got on the same page as me, you know, smooth sailing from there.
Right, right, right. Definitely.
It's important to have everybody on the same page.
Right. So I had visited with my girlfriend, and she said that she had tried like sensory integration, megadose vitamins, therapeutic horseback riding. You know, she tried so much. Did you find that you did a lot of that
Yes.
too?
Oh yeah, you try a lot. I mean, yeah, the sensory integration, I think the occupational therapists do that a lot with him, because, you know, a lot of children on the spectrum, they have a dysfunctional sensory system. So they either have like one or more of their sentence are either reactive to stimulation. So, you know, the hearing can be intensified, or the touch can be desensitized or oversensitized, or, you know, so they work with them on activities to sort of them change the way the brain like reacts to those things. And I just found a qigong massage. That's like my new exploration here, but new discovery. The qigong massage. It's, you know, I've been hearing so many great things about that for sensory issues with kids. That it's a QIGONG.
Right.
So that's good. I've heard amazing things about hippotherapy, and I have not done that only because I have this like fear of riding horses myself. So I think it's affected my decision not to put him on a horse. But I put him on pony rides, and he seems to enjoy it. But we do like the hyperbaric oxygen. We do ABA. We do speech and language. We do music therapy. We've done gymnastics and swimming lessons. And, you know, ABA is great for compliance. I mean, there's so many therapies out there. You know, you hear something from one family like, oh my God, this helped my son so much. And then you try it and it's like, not so much for mine. But you can't get discouraged. You just try something else and just pay attention to your child and what they like and enjoy, and where their weaknesses are, which you need to build on.
Right.
Sort of follow your child, you know, knowing your child, what they need, and you seek those things.
Right. So, you know, what works for some children doesn't always work for your child. You know, it's just like as an adult, you know, not everything works for all of us, you know. So that's awesome that you get in there and you just keep trying so many different things in order to help your child have the best life that he can possibly have.
Yes. I don't think any parent will do that, you know.
Right. So if you could give any special advice to the families out there and to our listeners that are going through, you know, maybe some of the same things that you are going through, what would that be?
It's so funny. I get asked this a lot, and you'd think I'd have an answer for this by now. But there's so many things. I always say, if you go on my website, JacquelineLarita.com, in the autism help section, there's a list of advice for an autism diagnosis, and it says some of the things. But if I were to kind of sum it up, believe autism is treated. It does get better. The child always has the ability to learn no matter what the pace. So, you know, believe that, keep pushing for the things you want them to do. They will get it. Get involved in the autism community, go to the conferences, meet families going through similar experiences. What helped me is seeking out people that have had success with their children, because that gave me hope and kept me, you know, they had success with their child it just gave me hope. And it really helps you, you know, keep believing and staying strong. And like we said, just knowing what works for one child may not work for another. So if you try something that doesn't show progression after a while, then just try something else, but don't give up.
Right. And I'm a firm believer in that. You know, there's so many people out there, when they start to go through something horrible, you know, that they feel is horrible in their life, they tend to become recluse, and they tend to start thinking that they're the only person in the world that's going through that, you know. And so even myself, you know, when I lost one of my children in a car accident, you know, to me, what helped me was to be able to get out there and be around other people that are going through or had gone through the same pain. You know, when you can surround yourself with other people that are going through it, it just, you know, you're much stronger with as a group, other
That's
than
right.
by yourself. Yeah, that's
Learn
awesome.
from each other. You take things from each other. You learn things that help you, and you pass that on to other people. And that's what you do with your podcast. You're taking and you're sharing that with other people. You're helping through your podcast just with the different things that you talk about. It's a great thing to do.
Exactly. And, you know, it's interesting because the world tends to look at people such as yourself and they think, oh, she's a celebrity. She's got the perfect world. Her life is so perfect. And then, you know, we do a podcast like this and people start to find out, wow, she's a normal person. She has ups and downs and she has horrible things that go on in her life too. But look how strong she is.
We're human. Like, people have to remember, when you see things on you know, Instagram or social media, or even on the, you know, TV or whatever, you're seeing just a small piece of that person's life. And Instagram, I mean, who's going to post like, oh, today is like, you know, you're not going to like, most people post things that are like, look at my lovely life. You know, they're not like,
exactly.
oh, today you know, I mean, sometimes you do because you reach out to people for help on social media sometimes, because you like, you know, a good way to get support from people.
Sure.
But people don't see all sides of your life. You know, everybody's got something, at least in one area of their life, that they're struggling with.
Exactly.
At least one area of their life. No one has everything.
Exactly.
On at once. You know?
And Jacqueline, we know that you're a huge philanthropist, and we would love for you to share with our listeners what different charities you support when it has to do with autism, so that we can get our listeners to go out there and support your charities of choice.
Gosh, I team up with many that have to do with autism, because I feel like they all help the community in some way. I'm very tied to Generation Rescue, only because they were very hands-on with us throughout our journey and continue to be with our son. I like Autism Hope Alliance. Gosh, there's just so many. Oh my gosh, I can't even. Culture City has been amazing. National Autism 1. I mean, I could go on. I mean, they're, you know, Autism Speaks is great for information and resources. I mean, there's really, I hate like limiting to one. You know, we do have a company, the Little Colonel, and for every bag that's sold, the proceeds go to Generation Rescue. Just, you know, that's really the first people that sat down with us and were really hands-on with us.
Right.
Continue to be. So
right.
I tend to do a lot for them. So.
Right. So listeners, get out there and support Jacqueline's charities. It's you know, we know everyone out there has huge hearts and deep pockets. So we want to support your charities, Jacqueline. It's been so much fun. Getting to interview. By the way, where do you get where can our listeners purchase the popcorn?
You can look on their website, thelittlecolonel.com. It's on Amazon. It's in Whole Foods on the West Coast. It's in ShopRite. It's in I don't know what stores are over there. It's in most of the big retailers.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah. So
across the country now.
So there you go, listeners.
Hopefully it's updated.
Yeah. So if you guys don't want to go out and support it,
truffle corn is the best.
Well, just get out there and buy that popcorn then. So
popcorn, it's non-GMO, gluten-free.
Wow.
Adam, sorry.
No, it's not an ad. We're supporting we're supporting autism through buying the popcorn. I'm gonna have to try it because you said it's non-GMO. So your son is able to eat it if it's gluten-free, right?
100% olive oil, gluten-free.
Wow.
Free too, even the butter and the cheddar.
And it's called the what now? What was it called again?
Yeah, it's really good.
The Little Colonel. So there you go, listeners. Get out there and buy some Little Colonel popcorn.
The Little Colonel.
Yeah. So get out there and buy some popcorn and support autism.
Yeah.
So Jacqueline, and it was so much fun having you on the podcast today. I know our listeners are just thrilled to death to get to hear your voice on our podcast. And everyone get out there and support autism, and get out there and find Jacqueline Loretta all over social media. I know she's everywhere. I know I see her everywhere. And make sure you like this podcast and become a follower on our channel here. And make sure you get out there and find me everywhere on social media also. I'm on YouTube. I'm all over social media. And Jacqueline, we can't thank you enough for being our guest today. It was a blessing, and it was so much fun.
Oh, thank you so much. And keep doing what you're doing. It's beautiful that you're doing, you probably touch so many lives you don't even know.
Oh, thank you so much. So with that said, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the week, and we will be talking next week. Bye-bye.